Everyone, TLSG here, back again with another daily Marvel Snap live stream. Today we're going to be running a little bit of Darcula discard. So we're going to be running the deck that we featured on today's video, and it was incredibly consistent, surprisingly consistent actually. And so it consists of Darcula as the primary way to pull in that power late. And then it also has a couple of different plans or elements that you can use to find your win condition. Morbius with this list is typically going to be really, really large. And then we have Lockjaw. If we don't draw into our key resources, we can go on a Lockjaw rotation spree where we dig into our decks. We can discard additional cards. A lot of times we can get a really, really absurdly large Apocalypse as a result. And so we're going to go ahead and jump into a few matches. I hope that everyone is having a fantastic day so far. We've been juggling a little bit of additional work today, but so far so good. I hope that your week has been great. It's Friday. It doesn't feel like it should be Friday already. And then Christy, thank you for jumping in and joining us. I hope you're having a great day so far. So the first location is Onslaught Citadel. That's going to be great for our Morbius. We can drop Morbius on 2. We have Apocalypse in our starting hand, which is always fantastic to see. And this may be a bot, but Mojo World is also great. This deck does a good job of, if we draw into Swarm, discarding Swarm, and we can just flood the board a lot of the time. So we're going to play Morbius into the Onslaught Citadel location. And then we'll see what the last one is. So the last one is Stark Tower. Hey, mister, how's it going? Thank you for jumping in and joining us. I hope you're having a great day so far. And then Havoc, thank you for joining us as well. And so we could do a Lockjaw rotation here. I almost think we do the rotation in Mojo World. That way we can potentially cycle into our Chavez. We can potentially push some larger cards into that location. And then Cold Me, an early stream. Yeah, it's our typical lunch live stream time, but we have been a little bit less consistent with it with different work obligations and responsibilities. And so I'm glad we were able to do it today. I'm excited to stream and try out a little bit more of this discard deck. If you haven't seen the video, it performed phenomenally in our early testing, and I'm excited to play it a little bit more and just explore it a little bit further. Havoc, I won't be much because I'm on my way to see Wakanda Forever. That's huge, Havoc. I hope that it's good. I hope that it is everything that we want it to be in kind of that follow up or that follow up movie. And so let us know how it is. Dad, how's it going? Thank you for jumping over and joining us. Christy, you need to be very patient with this deck. Yeah, because if you start throwing your cards out without really paying attention to like the statistics or the chances that you're gonna, get a particular outcome, you can find yourself in a bad spot pretty easily. Zero Brain, how's it going? So we're going to drop Darcula into Stark Tower. We plan to do our Swarm rotations on the final turn, and then we can... Hey, welcome. It took you long enough. Cold Me, thank you so much for subscribing with a tier 1 sub. I appreciate it. Thank you for the support. It is very much appreciated. So we can rotate. We could also drop them in Stark Tower, but I think we hold them for a turn. We're gonna drop our Swordmaster as well as our Swarms on that final turn. So we're gonna rotate those on that very last one. Okay, Dad, I'm tired of you making decks that I'm missing one important card for. Which one are you missing for this one, Dad? And hopefully you pull it soon. Ooh, so with the Iron Man in this location, it's actually not a... Oh, Darcula. Okay, yeah, that is a pretty big one. I was gonna say maybe you can sub it out, but Darcula seems pretty important for this one. So with their Iron Man here, we're not really gonna be able to compete for this location. I think we still cycle our Swarms. That way we can discard additional cards. We can use our Swordmaster to discard our Apocalypse or our Chavez. And then whenever we rotate into, we have Hellcow in our deck still, we have Calling Wing still in our deck, and then we have Blade. So no matter what these rotate into, they're going to discard additional cards. And so Morbius is going to start getting buffed up, and then our Apocalypse is going to get pretty large as well. So I'm fairly confident. We're going to lose Mojo World, but I feel decent in the left and right lane, depending on what they have. If they have an Enchantress, then we just lose the left lane, and I think that's just the risk that we're going to take. So they have a Hell Cow that they drop as the last turn card. That's not gonna do it for them. Zero Brain, you've been losing 12 times today. Some days it's just kind of like that. It just seems to work out that way. And sometimes whenever that happens, I try a different deck. If you're running into one particular like deck or archetype, you may try testing something new out. Cold Me was waiting to sub to you. Thank you so much, Cold. I appreciate it. And I have a couple of sub emotes that are working on pending. Only 2 have come through so far, but I did transfer some of the other ones over from YouTube that I had over there. And so we have the +1 more, and we have Uadu right now. The Darcula Doomsday interaction is pretty neat. Christy, oh, Apocalypse. Gotcha, yep. And so we'll start off the stream with a Mr. Positive. We're going to have 4 cubes starting out. You didn't see the pre-roll? Maybe it's because I had the tab open in anticipation. Maybe. Dante, you're subbed, right? If you're subbed, I have the ads. I'm able to disable the ads for any Prime subs or tier 1 through 3 subs as well. And actually, that's a good question. So I brought it up in the Discord because I didn't realize that Twitch forced either pre-rolls or mid-roll ads. So for you guys that view on Twitch very often, do you prefer for it to be the pre-rolls, or would you rather it run? I think it's like a minute and a half of ads to disable pre-rolls for 30 minutes. Would you rather them midway through the stream? That way new viewers can pop in and out more easily, or if you kind of bounce back and forth from streams. And so we get Ego. We're going to snap on the Ego. It's probably going to not do well for us with discards because it doesn't have any kind of agency on what's going to be good. But we are going to snap into it. Midway through is the worst, in your opinion? Gotcha. Okay. And that's... As a viewer, I don't mind the pre-rolls as much because I don't pop around a lot. But I know that some people really dislike them. And then Macking, thank you so much for following. And Kelzo, thank you so much for subscribing as well. Pre-roll is better? Okay, perfect. I just wanted to get a pulse check because I want to do what's easiest for you guys, especially while we're just kind of testing out the different waters. Rocky Road, thank you so much for the Prime sub. I appreciate it. It looks like you've almost initiated a hype train. I appreciate the support. The support is massive. And then you only live once. Thank you so much for the follow. And Captain, thank you for the follow as well. You guys are legends. Let's go ahead and let Ego just take over. We're going to switch hands on the final turn, which is kind of scary because I think it looks like both of us are going to have pretty much nothing left. And then Captain, the man, the myth, the legend. Captain, I appreciate you being here. Shipal, pre-roll is better for players who will be here only, but it's not as good for discoverability. Shipal, yeah. Or I guess Jeremiah. I have to realize that's Jeremiah. It's weird seeing not the avatars that I'm used to seeing. This one may be a bot because they didn't snap back. They didn't snap back for the... and then Rocky Road, you gifted 1 sub. It was so huge. Thank you so much, Rocky Road. Oh, and you gifted a Q as well. So Q, you are now... you now have a sub over here as well. I appreciate it, Rocky Road. The support is massive. Stars and Moon, whatever helps support you the most on the ads. I appreciate it, Stars and Moons. Rocky Road, hey. Mystic for Hire. It's even weirder for me. I have a different username for each platform by accident. So Mystic for Hire, what's your name on YouTube? Oh yeah, we probably lost. We're gonna trust in Ego though. We're gonna trust in the misplay from Ego here. And then Q, thank you so much for the follow. I appreciate it. Ego is smart. Ego is not smart. Ego did us wrong. They did us dirty. Can't subscribe in Twitch, country restrictions. Mister, it's okay. If you don't have the means for a sub, it's absolutely fine. The support is greatly appreciated, but you guys just being here to enjoy the stream and enjoy the content is always more than enough. So Ego wanted us to start off as Mr. Negative Streamer today. We'll have an upward climb from here. Usually, unless you have a really kind of straightforward deck, Ego is gonna play it really poorly. Discard is one of those. Destruction is another one that is just you almost always are gonna lose when Ego pops up. Yeah, Ego lets the bot wins. It's how it right sizes things. And so we have a regular match. We're going to be able to start climbing back up to regain our cubes. Can you play a Mr. Negative deck? So, Q, watching on your phone. So you got me. So you're watching on your phone. So are you still trying to queue up against this Q? And then Mr. I've been working on kind of teching in. It's a Black Panther Mr. Negative deck. It's not as consistent as some of the other builds, but it's okay. So I don't know if that's something I'm going to feature. If maybe I just play it a little bit whenever I do an extended stream sometime. But it is something I'm kind of tinkering with right now. Harrison Wade is your username on Discord, or is your username on Discord? Is Bravington Capital official? Boring story in Bravington in game. Your username is your IRL. Username IRL is Harrison. Mystic for Hire. How you said that was by accident? How does that accidentally happen? So we can do Darcula into the hub. It looks like they're running a move deck. So these two lanes, the far left and far right, are usually their most impactful. So I think we are going to drop our Darcula into the far left. That's going to either encourage them to not Heimdall shift, or if they do, our Darcula may be able to cover the difference. And then Mr. What does TLSG stand for? So several years ago, I had a Twitch account for all of like 3 weeks that I streamed on, and the name was that Livestream guy, because I thought it'd be funny if somebody found the stream and they were trying to tell their friend, and they told him, hey, have you seen that Livestream guy? And they said, which one? And so then chat sorted it to TLSG, and it just kind of stuck after that. And I only streamed on it for a couple of weeks, and then it just went away, but the TLSG part ended up sticking. So we can force Calling Wing to discard our Swarm, so we have some additional options on the final turn. We're not going to draw into Chavez, though. So we might be better off just doing our regular discards. I am going to drop our Swordmaster and Calling Wing. Actually, no. We'll do Swordmaster and Blade. That way Blade at least has a chance of discarding either our Apocalypse or our Swarm. Calling Wing is guaranteed to do the Blade in that scenario, and it wouldn't necessarily be great for us. Just owning sites at different times. You have the same for everything, but it'll change every year. So that makes sense, Mystic for Hire. Should probably bring them all together, but I can't choose which one. That's true. And then Cold, how did you get it on the PC? Yeah, so I originally did it with BlueStacks, but now I use the Steam client. It's much easier to navigate. And it's not widescreen yet. It's still in the kind of horizontal aspect ratio, but they're eventually going to bring it into a widescreen mode. It's just in early access right now, but it works very smooth. It's a very smooth early access client. And so we'll slowly start climbing back up. I appreciate you guys for being here. I hope your week has went well. So far mine's been up and down. So I don't know how many of you guys were in here, but I said that one of our cars at the house got broken into, And we were guessing that they got scared because they took off on foot, and we found most of the stuff that got taken from the car, just kind of scattered by the sidewalks. So a couple of blocks away, we found most of the valuables, anything that they thought might be able to be tracked. And so just some small stuff, and just a little bit of worry, but everything else kind of turned out and worked out okay. Zero, what's the best deck for Black Panther on pool 1 and 2? So for me, I feel like going the Forge route is a little bit too much. You're investing too many resources into that potential like Black Panther or Mr. Sinister play. I think where it shines is just in Odin on reveal. So something where you're just running a regular like on reveal deck, and then Black Panther slots in well anywhere that Gamora would have been otherwise. And so for me, I think that's the most consistent. It's not as high roll as your pool 3 decks that you see, but I think it is fairly consistent. So we're going to set up the Lockjaw rotation. With Kamartaj, we're going to be able to double discard everything we play here, and so we're going to be able to discard a lot of cards. The last location is Bar with No Name, so we want to avoid that one. And then Christy, since when have they introduced titles? About a week ago. They introduced the titles, and you unlock them through your collection track. So as you pull rewards, you have a chance to pull into those titles. And so they could have a Juggernaut here to follow up the flooded play. If so, then I think we lose this location. But then we may be able to swing both of these. I hope the little one is okay. So tough when they get sick. Yeah, I took her to the doctor yesterday. She had essentially just a kind of a bad cold. She's really congested. But otherwise she's okay. They said it should clear up given time. What did you think of my golf idea, or did you win a game instead of reading it? I didn't see your golf idea, Mystic. I'll scroll up. Yeah, I completely missed it. I'm considering a golf-type version of Snap. If I ever get bored of the game, I'll try and complete all 6 quests and a season pass quest in one game. That'd be kind of cool to see how many you can hit. I think that could be pretty interesting. So we can do... I almost think we just do Lady Sif here, because then on the final turn we can do both Hellcow and Calling Wing. Those will both trigger twice, and they'll cycle back into our deck. And if we do Blade, we might accidentally discard one of these two, and I think we're better off just holding it. And then Zunder, finally able to watch you here. I missed some of your recent lives as I've been waiting in YouTube. Forgot that you mentioned you'll be here. Zunder, that's okay. I am uploading the videos on demand onto a separate channel. I haven't really advertised that one. But it's listed on the communities tab, or I guess on my channel's tab under channels. And so 24 hours, if you miss one here and you don't necessarily want to watch it on, Twitch, I'm bringing it over onto YouTube. But I appreciate you being here. I'm glad you were able to jump over and join us. And so now we can do the double discard. They did use Juggernaut, which pushed our Lady Sif over and ended up discarding our Apocalypse twice. And so we're going to have a pretty big Apocalypse. We're going to discard several cards, which is going to make our Morbius really, really large. And then Darcula is going to absorb into most likely the Apocalypse by the end of the game. And so let's go ahead and lock this one in. It should be, I think, an easy 8 cubes. I think. And then Christy, that means less chance to pull cards from the collector's reserves. No, so the cosmetics was the only thing that got adjusted. So the card chance pool is still the same, but your chance of variance was reduced. I believe it was like 12.5 before. Now it's 10. Avatars got reduced just a little bit to slot in the titles. And then 7. Do you think Heimdall plus Storm is a good combo? Play Storm early on and leave her alone on the lane, and last turn Heimdall some cards on her lane. It can be a good surprise play. I don't know how consistent we would be able to find it. And then Flawed, thank you so much for the follow. I don't know how consistent it would play, but and I don't know if you saw my kind of deck building tips video. that kind of falls into one of those that like surprise last turn play. And so that would be able to take them by surprise. And so I think you'd be able to get some big cube games out of it. If you don't have like a traditional move deck and then all of a sudden you shift your cards over, it's not a combo that most people would really anticipate. And so I think it could work. The rest of your deck, I think you'd need to make sure that you have pretty good tempo so you can beat whatever lane you shift them into. But otherwise, I think it sounds pretty decent. Yeah, it was a really big Morbid. This deck can absolutely make some really large plays, and it's surprisingly consistent. When I first saw it, I was hesitant. I'm glad I loaded it up and tried it out because it's been phenomenal. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, the big apocalypse, Dracula's, the number of swarms you can throw onto the board. It just has so many like win conditions or play paths and they all synergize together. So it really doesn't matter what order you draw your cards in. You can find a pretty large place somewhere. And so with Superflow, we're going to be able to play our Dracula down a turn early. And then Christie, is Hela a must for this deck list? She's not. I know some people tried out Thor in that spot instead. So with Thor, or you could just do another discard card. You could throw in a Moon Knight. But it's just kind of so it's a backup to our backup. And so it's like a plan C with this list. Oh no, Zero Brain. You said your first pull 3 card was Quinjet? That's a tough one. That is not one you want to see early. It's a decent one to kind of play around with, but as far as competitive decks, it doesn't see as much play very often. You got Sarah. How does the Sarah Miracle deck play out? Sarah is a huge one, mister. So Sarah Miracle, the idea is you have most of your power push on that final turn, so it kind of checks that box of that surprise last turn power play. So it's hard for the opponent to anticipate how much and where you're dropping your power. And so once you drop Sarah on the board, that's going to reduce the cost of all of your ideally like 2 or 3 cost cards. So you can play anywhere from 3 to 5, maybe even 6 cards onto the board on that final turn, and just push an insane amount of power. Is kind of the premise of it. So it's a really low to the ground deck that benefits whenever you do draw into your Sarah. So let's go ahead and play our Morbius over into the Superflow. Feels kind of rough, but I do think we need to start stacking some of our power over there. So then in addition to that, we can go with our Swordmaster. We're going to take away the upside of having the extra energy, but I think if we start rotating, if we get the right cards discarded, then I think we should be all right. And then Tensive, I watch all your YouTube videos, bro. You're awesome. Bro, not BO. Thank you so much, Tensive. I appreciate you being here. I hope you're having a fantastic day so far, and I hope you've had a great week. And then Christy, your first one was Death. Death is a huge one to get first. Not as good until you get Wave, but she still has a lot of potential. So we still have one additional turn. I don't know that we force too much to happen. We can do our Calling Wing. Actually, let's do Calling Wing over here. Let's do Blade on the left-hand side. That's going to discard our Swarm, and then maybe Apocalypse. Maybe it'll do our Swarm again. Once we discard Swarm, we'll actually be able to play them into the Crimson Cosmos because it's going to be a 0-cost card, so it won't be restricted by the 1, 2, or 3-cost card restriction. And so we might be able to find a win condition there. Buster Cherry, thank you so much for not for subscribing, but for the follow. I appreciate it. You were waiting for your YouTube live and didn't notice the Twitch link. I'm so sorry, Buster. Why not stream both? So I'm testing a couple of things out. So whenever I stream to YouTube, it naturally says that is the most recent thing that I've put out. And so it starts promoting the live stream over our structured video. And so then our structured video stops getting views, it stops getting traction. And then with a video, once it stops getting those hits, it tells YouTube that it no longer needs to be pushed or ranked. and so then it kind of falls off. And so it's something that I'm testing out and trying out. I don't know where we're going to ultimately fall, but as of right now, that's kind of why we're not streaming to both. So we can do Apocalypse here is going to be a 16 power Apocalypse. So I don't think they have anything that's going to be able to push that much. We can do a decent power push into the Crimson Cosmos. They've already dropped their Collector. They could do a Moon Girl to double their hand back up, which would push their Devil Dino a little bit out of our range. So I think I'm going to drop both swarms into the Crimson Cosmos. I think the discard here should be enough to steal this win condition, and then it will buff up our Morbius by 2 as well. And so we're gonna go ahead and lock that one in. Mystic Friar, have you ever considered a Devil Dino in your discard swarm? I haven't. And this one was kind of structured by and brewed by the Snap.fan Discord, and I just happened to stumble upon it. But I think with the Devil Dino, a lot of times we throw most of our cards onto the board, and so those kind of are the synergies don't always line up. So if you do end up having a lot of your swarms, then it's perfectly fine. But if you end up with your Apocalypse playline instead, and so it would make the Darcula discard or absorption a little bit more difficult. So I think we would need to build something else entirely. Something where we have the Devil Dino on the board, and then maybe we do the rotation with our swarm in hand. But I think it would look like an entirely different beast at that point. Tinsiv, your week was great. How has your week been? It's been up and down. Overall, it's been very positive, very good. We've had some insane growth on YouTube the last several weeks, and like it still doesn't feel real. I was thinking back, and so just before launch, so less than a month ago, our videos were getting about 2,000, 3,000 views per video, and now they're doing some absolutely insane numbers. And so the last couple of weeks have been phenomenal, Tinsiv. And we're just kind of enjoying it, enjoying the content that we're able to make, enjoying just having the game globally launched, and having so many new people that are here. And then Vitio, you said please stream on YouTube. So it's something that I'm testing out. So whenever I stream on YouTube, it sucks all of the traction away from that day's video, and so then any structured video that I put up that day just tanks because it wants to promote the live stream, because that's what, as far as YouTube is concerned, the most recent and best thing that they should promote. And once a video loses traction, there's really no getting it back. And so I'm looking at the numbers. It's something that I'm looking at. I know for the lunch live streams, maybe we can fit it in. For extended live streams, I think those would need to be on Twitch, at least from what it's looking like and what it seems like right now. But it is something that I'm still considering. I haven't made any official switches or decisions, but we're still kind of looking at it. Zero Brain, why don't you use Infinite in this list? We would very rarely skip a turn. I guess it could get absorbed by our Darcula, but the idea with this one is that on that last turn, we're discarding so many cards. So with the way that this one is set up, we can focus all of our discards on 5 and 6 and just go on an absolutely rotation and discarding spree to get a lot of upside. So we're going to go ahead and throw Darcula into the flooded lane. That should let us lock down this location. Next turn, depending on what we can draw into, we can either force some of our swarms on the board, we can force some more discards to buff up our Morbius, and we can just kind of play it depending on what we draw into this next turn. Cold Me, you said when I started playing Snap, I searched up Marvel Snap decks, and your channel came up and it stuck. I'm so glad that it stuck. I'm so glad that you saw the video, that you enjoyed it enough to stick around, because I'm glad to have you here. So we can do Hell Cow. That's going to discard 2 cards. We could throw a couple of the swarms onto the board. Because with this, it looks like we're probably going to play our swarms on the final turn, because most likely we will end up discarding at least one or both of our current discard cards. We'll draw into Chavez on that final turn. We won't want to drop Chavez onto the board so that Darcula can absorb that upside. And so I think we play 2 swarms here. That way they can both get the Stark Tower bonus, and then we have a chance to still discard and get more. Morbius is pool 3. Yeah, so Morbius is in pool 2. You ran Wong instead of Hell in this list, Captain. How did it work out for you? I know that was another potential option that we could go with. Drake, still scared to venture into the wildlands of pool 3, so I'm raising my credits to some level. And Drake, I actually have a pool 2 deck that I'm working on that has been really, really consistent. So I ran it for 50 games. I have the nerdy spreadsheet pulled up. I ran it for 52 games, starting at rank 45 with a win percent in 50 games, a win percentage of 82%, and an average cube gain of 3.08. So it's been massive. I'm mid 60s now out of the 50 games, and so I'm gonna test it a little bit more, kind of finesse it some more. But so far it's been phenomenal. So I think we may need to give up our Darcula lane, because if we keep Lady Sif in hand, then it's gonna come down to a 50-50 of if Darcula absorbs the card that it needs. And so we almost want to just throw our power into Kunlun and hope that we can outpower them. Otherwise, it comes down to a 50-50 coin flip. And then with their list, I'm not sure what they run here. I think we're solid here. But I don't know if 13 power is enough in Kunlun, especially with Angela that's going to be able to buff up their cards. I was going to track it back because I don't think it's enough. Ooh, so they use a Dr. Doom, which pushes more power into the flood lane. Even if Darcula had pulled into our 9 power Chavez, it wouldn't have been quite enough. And so this play path actually found us the win condition, because I think they were anticipating us trying to absorb our Chavez into that far right lane. And so that brings us up to a positive 11 cubes. I guess I'll wait for that video. Yeah, so I'm doing a little bit more testing, and then I'm going to, I think put it out tomorrow or late tonight. I want to test it just a little bit further. I want to make sure that in the higher ranks, it still does fine, because 45 and rank 80, I think are going to have drastically different matches. So I want to make sure that it's good all the way through. Flawed. QN, why Lockjaw rather than Collector? That benefits from growing Apocalypse and Swarm. So Flawed, I'll see if we can get a game with the upside of Lockjaw. So Lockjaw enables us to do an insanely big turn 5 or turn 6 rotation. And so if we have our swarms, we can rotate those. If we have our low cost discard cards, we can discard cards, rotate into other discard cards that we have in our list to be able to discard further. And so then our Morbius, our Apocalypse, our Darcula are going to get larger as a result of the Lockjaw. Plus it adds a little bit more consistency. If we don't draw into the resources we need, it kind of helps bail us out sometimes. Tensive, you got Morbius and Ronan as your first couple of pool 3 cards. Ronan's decent. He was a lot better for a couple. I think it was all of maybe one patch. He was better for all of one patch, but he's still pretty good. Dry, thank you for jumping in and joining us. I'm glad you were able to jump over. So we can do Morbius into the vault location. Actually, I think we'll do our Darcula over there, and then we'll start looking at our discards after turn 4. Wong was good. Sometimes he flipped with Lockjaw, and it was like free triggers in Darcula. That's true. So you could get some. I think it would increase your high roll potential if you hit it just right. Stonebender, what does collection level versus rank, or when does collection level versus rank take priority? You said I faced you a few times ago, and I was in your collection level 600. and rank 54. You faced this on this account, on TLSG? Or was it on one of my other accounts? On TLSG? Wow. So they've said that it's a mixture of your collection, MMR, and a couple of other like pieces. And so, Mister, how were you able to get the emote? I'm glad you were able to, since you're not able to join us as a sub. Stream points. Oh, perfect. So the channel points, you were able to unlock it. That's awesome. And so I think the biggest piece is collection, and then it starts going wider. So I think it does a couple of waves of trying to find an opponent, and then it just continues to expand and expand and expand. So we're gonna draw into our Chavez next turn. We don't have really a great ender. We're gonna take a chance of Lady Sif discarding Hela. She can either hit Hela or, actually, if we're gonna take that risk, we're gonna do it this way. We'll draw into Chavez next turn. We can then throw Hellcow. I don't know. We didn't get a great setup for this one. Hela does get discarded. We now have the Swarm on the board. We can discard a couple of cards with our Hellcow to try to hit our Apocalypse, but I don't know that it's gonna be what we need. Without having some earlier triggers with Morbius getting hit, this one ended up working out kind of clunky. So I guess we could play our Chavez just onto the board and then hope that something big gets pulled over here. This could be the real Mysterio, though. We're gonna retreat for a -2. I don't feel confident with their Sarah, with their low cost cards. I think they're gonna be able to flood a lot of things out onto the board, and then maybe they're running a list that has Infinite, and so they were gonna pull into a 20 power Infinite. Day wanted to jump in and say thanks. Your videos with the deck explaining has been a huge help for your grind. That's so huge, Day. I'm so glad that the videos have been helpful, and hopefully you're able to continue to rank up and either get the card back or hit whatever rank you're shooting for. Dante, it could be that not many people are playing right now. That too. If it's off hours, if it's like non-peak times, then it either pushes more bots or it expands. It expands the matching. And so Stonebender, you said the only thing that I don't like about entering pool 3, yeah, sometimes you just face people with a full collection. Yeah, that's another one of my I guess concerns or issues with pool 3 is that it's so wide that at collection 600, you should very rarely, if ever, match anybody close to a full collection, because it's really one-sided. It feels really unfair. And so, is your name in game Stonebender? If so, if we match up, I can always forget to play on the final turn and just accidentally lose. So we have Calling Wing that is going to discard our Swarm. We have Blade that will discard a random card. So maybe it'll hit the Swarm. It could hit Apocalypse, or maybe it'll hit one of our discard cards. Same game name. I'll keep an eye out for you, Stonebender. You're not playing right now. Got errands to run, and so I'll keep an eye out. If I see you whenever I'm playing, we'll just keep it in mind. Tensive, all right, I'm gonna dip. See you later. TLSG, have a good one. Thank you for being here while you could, Tensive. I appreciate it. I hope that you have a great rest of your day and a great weekend. Also learned a lot of lessons from your videos. I appreciate that. I'm glad to know that they are helpful, because you can get caught up in just the grind of it, right? And just be and it. I don't want to feel like I'm just putting out content to put it out. I want it to be high quality, and I want it to be helpful. And so I'm glad to know that it's helping you guys. And then the Kier, thank you so much for jumping in. I hope you're having a great day, and I hope your week has went well as well. You saw you yesterday too. That avatar is very memorable. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I like this avatar. It's Uwadu the Watcher, and so a lot of times I'll make kind of offbeat predictions or reads of the opponent, and I don't know. I find it fun. So we're gonna go ahead and play Darcula into Washington D.C. We're gonna have a pretty big push into Shuri's lab, and then Racklord, and I missed this one, but WY. Thank you both for following. And actually, I think I missed this one too. Boo Boo Bomber, thank you so much for the follow as well, if you're still here. And then Stonebender, thank you for the follow as well. Mystic Friar, work time. Enjoy the stream. Enjoy the rest of your workday. I hope it goes by seamlessly. And we'll either catch you in a video or on a later stream. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Alexander, how's it going? I hope you're having a great day so far, Alex. Alexander. I don't know why I shortened it for you. Rocky Road. The videos are definitely helpful, and it's nice that you include Pool 1 and Pool 2 only cards in the book builds for those that don't have a full collection. I try to be as flexible as possible. I want to offer as many alternatives as I possibly can, because I know that it's hard whenever you see a build and you don't have the resources, and so then sometimes those Pool 3 cards are really what makes it happen. And so I try to be mindful of that as well whenever I'm making these builds. And then Rye Guy, the hype man himself, I'm doing well. I hope that you're doing well as well. And then Alexander, you said back to Hearthstone, the March of the Lich King. Oh, Dry, you said today I lost 7 ranks. Getting back to Hearthstone for a day or two, I guess. Hopefully just like the change of pace is helpful. So I think we probably lose this one if they have an Arnim Zola. They're going to push this to the left and right, and I don't think we can compete with it, which that's most likely what it is. But I wanted to see it play out anyways. Mail, how's it going? I hope you're having a great day so far. Thank you for jumping in and joining us. And so we do get a couple of discards on our Apocalypse, but it's not going to be anywhere near enough to match the 40 power that we need. It's going to be just a little bit shy. Had we got a higher high roll, maybe we could have competed for it. But without having the Lockjaw to really elevate those rotations and those number of discards on that final turn, we weren't quite able to get it there. Shuri's Lab hated it. I didn't hate it. I just ran Shang-Chi a lot. Shang-Chi and Cosmos were the best tech cards for those last couple of days. Mail, you're having a great day. I'm so glad to hear that. I hope that the week has went well. And so we don't have any of our great starting cards. So we have our Swarm, our Apocalypse. I guess saying none of our great cards is probably not the right way to phrase that, because we have both of the cards that benefit from being discarded. What I meant was we don't have any of our cards that we can play early. So our Morbius, our Lockjaw to kind of prep on those first couple of turns. And so actually on turn 3, we can drop Calling Wing. That's going to start discarding our Swarms. On 4, we can drop our Darcula, and then we should start being able to see a potential upside. We haven't seen Lockjaw in about 3 or 4 games, though. How is my daughter? Is everything fine? So I took her to the doctor yesterday. They said she has just a really bad cold, and so she's really, really congested, the kind of croupy cough. And so they said keep an eye on like the temperature and making sure that nothing elevates any further, but that it'll just be something that kind of sticks around for a while, unfortunately. But at least it's not something worse. Mail, what deck are we playing? So we're playing a Lockjaw rotation discard deck list. So it's something that's, whenever I first heard of it and looked at it, I was really hesitant. But it turns out that it works really, really well. So it has a really high power potential with being able to rotate your cards and being able to do some of the higher end things where we can enable some of those really crazy combos on the last couple of turns. So they used Wave. If they have an Odin to re-trigger Wave, then we'll be in trouble here. But otherwise, I think we can go with a... We can go with a Lockjaw into the far right lane. Or maybe we push it into Stark Tower. We can then rotate our discard cards next turn. We can then just push a lot of that power out onto the board. We have a Blade and a Swordmaster that we'll be able to trigger and rotate here. We can draw into potentially some more discards. So our Hell Cow, we have Lady Sif in there still. We'll be able to do some decent things from this. So I think we take our free pass and we just play our Lockjaw. Is Lockjaw pool 3? Yeah, he's one of the pool 3 cards. And then Mr. I think Chavez could be replaced. Chavez could... and then Mark, I don't think I've seen you get Lockjaw once here, and it's been 15 to 20 minutes. Yeah, he's been hiding. He didn't want to come out. But hopefully he allows us to do some high roll potential here. If we switch into our Morbius, I still don't think we beat this 33 power push that they have. So I almost wonder if we play Swordmaster over here instead. I think this lane should be fine. But my concern comes from winning this far right lane. So we'll just rotate the one card with Blade. Maybe we'll switch over into our Hell Cow to discard Apocalypse a couple more times. Maybe it'll be Morbius, but I don't think that's enough to win the Stark Tower lane. So let's go ahead and lock this one in and see. And Alexander, you said buy her a present to cheer her up. She'll get plenty of presents. We've been trying to do our best. And so they played a 15 power Taskmaster, which is typically good, or it copies the 14 power from Death, which is typically really, really big and really, really impactful. But with this one, we're going to be able to discard Apocalypse enough times that it becomes a 19 power unit with the help of Monster Metropolis. And so you still find the win condition. But as far as changing Chavez, I like Chavez, and Chavez is in this list. We typically don't play her, but she's in the list to add that consistency. So with this, drawing into Apocalypse, Swarm, and your discard units early is your win condition. If they're at the bottom of your deck, you're not going to be able to find that win condition. And so Chavez is in here to help us draw into those pieces a little bit earlier. And then if we get the upside of rotating into her with our Lockjaw, then we can draw into a better resource or unit on that final turn. Chavez is so good in a deck where you don't want to play her. Yeah, she is. I agree, Stonebender. And then Mayo, when did we hit affiliated? So we hit affiliated a while back. I just never accepted it. But since I'm not able to dual stream, I decided to go ahead and accept it. I didn't realize it was going to force ads though. I thought it'd just be a cool way to be able to let people that wanted to use their Prime subs use their Prime subs. But since we hit it a while back, I went ahead and accepted it because my computer and connection can't handle the dual streams. And so right now we're testing out the waters here on Twitch to see if maybe we push our stream over here. It's something we're still kind of working out. Oh yeah, the sword next to your name right now, it's the default for mod. I want to change that eventually. I don't know what I'll change it to, but I haven't really got in and customized everything now that we have the affiliate status. The Rocky Road, if you play Odin into a Lockjaw lane, does the card that was played before Lockjaw and before the Odin get rotated since they're triggered? No, Rocky Road, they don't. So it only rotates them on play. So we can discard and start cloning some of our discard cards. I don't think we do this turn, and I don't think we played Blade. We don't have anything that's going to benefit from starting our discards. Yeah, you mentioned, oh no, and it's TVA. Lockjaw can be decent for TVA, right? I say we lean into the rotation. We're gonna rotate. Maybe we get something good. Maybe we get Chavez. Maybe this lane becomes unbeatable. But I think we do start our rotation spree, and then we'll play it out. We'll see what happens next turn. And then Darth Tater Is that right? Darth Tater? I see you have a few videos on Arrow. She was one of my first pull 3 cards. Any chance she is viable with a pull 2 deck? I could see her being decent in something where you maintain tempo and where you're able to maintain that kind of board presence. My hesitation with her in pull 2 is that early on you don't have, well, you don't have anything that forces the opponent into a particular slow play line. So she's good at redirecting. So if they're running an Odin on reveal, and if you have tempo going to that last turn, you can make them not be able to re-trigger that. Oh, Q, yeah, Q. We're just gonna pretend it didn't happen. Yeah, so retreating from TVA after you've already snapped, after everything, there's no additional risk from staying for that last turn. I should have just stayed and let it play out. But you're right, Q. The idea you suggested for Zola with Dino has been doing well. That's huge. Okay, Dad, hoping my workday moves a lot faster. This has been a long work week. Hopefully this last one just kind of goes by pretty quickly. Hopefully the last couple hours go by pretty quick for you. And then 1 Alpha, you said I made a very annoying deck today. Having a lot of fun. What kind of annoying deck did you end up making? Soldier from YouTube. Yo, what's up, TLSG? I saw your post and this destroyed deck video earlier today. Yeah, this deck has been insane. The 7 cubes that we have don't really do it justice yet, but I'm glad you were able to jump over and join us. I'm just glad that you're here. And that you saw the post on YouTube and you were able to make it over here. The deck itself is very consistent. Like, it's surprisingly consistent. And so with Morbius, we could always do something like a Hell Cow into Bar Sinister on that final turn to discard a lot of cards on that last turn, making our Morbius insanely huge, and then just kind of going from there. I think we hold for that. Or maybe we don't hold for that. Maybe we do Darcula over here if we draw into him. Darcula over here would make 4 discards happen. It's going to be an insanely big lane. It discards and buffs up the Apocalypse each time. I think we'll probably go with that. It's Korg, Iceman, Nova, Angela, Scorpion, Morph, Wolfsbane, Killmonger, Shang-Chi, Hobgoblins, Spider-Woman, and Odin. It hurt reading the cards out, to be honest. I'd hate going against your own deck. And so that's how you know you have probably a pretty good deck, is that it's one that you don't want to match up against. So let's go ahead and we're going to rotate one more card. Looks like we lose Negative Zone pretty badly. Next turn, depending on what this rotates into, if it rotates into our Darcula, then we could either play Chavez or Apocalypse here. And then we'll see from there. Hey, Soldier from YouTube, happy birthday. I'm glad that you're spending a little bit of your birthday with us. I hope that you have a fantastic day. And I'm glad that you're here to enjoy it with us. And then Fran, love it. Love it, love it. And then Dante, so many options with this deck. Yeah, and so that's the biggest draw for me, is that there are so many play paths that you can go with. And unfortunately, we're not going to be able to make use of our Apocalypse too much. Oh, we have another turn. So in our deck still we have our Darcula. Do we have Hela still? Let's go with Calling Wing. That's going to guarantee that she discards the Apocalypse. Morbius is going to get pretty large. We either play him into Bar Sinister on the final turn, or if we draw into a Darcula, we can do that to let our Morbius buff up. We'll see. We'll see what our best play path is. And then, okay, Dad, I've been trying to get Darcula for a discard deck forever. I hope that you pull him soon. And then 1/1/1 Eamon. 11 Lemon. Thank you so much for the follow. I appreciate it. I hope you're having a fantastic day so far. So they drop Iron Man into negative zones. They're going to have to push some large power over there. And unfortunately, this lane is not going to get any bigger. And so if they copy this with an inverted Mystique, they may be able to find their win condition. I'm not sure what they can do in Bar Sinister, but I think we let this one play out. Swirlybeard did have Mr. Negative early, did have the upside of having the Limbo location. So I anticipate that they have a pretty big power play here for the final turn. Maybe they hit this with an Arnhem Zola and it goes here and here. And then they duplicate whatever they have in this lane. I could see that being a potential play path that they go with. But I think we go ahead and just let it play out. I think we need to see the end of this one. It's only for an additional 2 cubes. And right now we're not sweating our cubes too much. If we gain some, if we lose some, it's okay. We'll grind a little bit harder as it gets closer to the end of the season. Yeah, Rocky Road, you were about to say that. Wait, there's a turn 7. Yeah, I'm glad. Sometimes I overlook it. Whenever Limbo did not start there. He does need a huge card to win the negative zone. So if it's a, I guess it doesn't have to be that big. So it has to be, so 6 power would right size him. 9 power would put him +3, and so that would, so 9 power or more, or with an Arnhem Zola. Ooh, and so they snap. Is it worth, well, I guess, I don't think it's worth staying, but we're apparently going to stay. We're going to stay to find out. They didn't play anything into the Limbo location, so maybe they do have an Arnhem Zola? What? The Shang-Chi play is big. But do they win the negative zone? Because those don't all count as cards played, right? They win by 12, we win by 12. That's, no, we win, oh, we win by 10. Oh no. Had we drawn into Darcula? 10 power here, yeah. Had we drawn into Darcula, that would have protected us from the Shang-Chi play. We would have, oh man, we're Mr. Negative Streamer again. We had a lot of outs that we could have gone with. We just didn't draw into any of them. Unfortunately, Darcula hid in the bottom 2 of our deck. It is something that happens from time to time. The Shang-Chi play, the anticipation for our Apocalypse there was big. Yeah, so from Mr. Negative, it turned us into Mr. Negative. Bad cards are good only if they're in a good deck. That's true. And so let's go ahead and skip turn 1. We do have, ooh, we have a really good setup here. We'll take that as a way to get to Mr. Neutral Streamer. We had our Morbius into our Lockjaw into our Darcula, and then we could have started rotating our cards on 5 and 6. I think we would have had a pretty big potential game. And just like that, we became Mr. Neutral. What is a good Morbius Pool 2 deck? So I built one. I have a video on YouTube. It's the best Pool 2 Apocalypse build. If you check out our beginners videos playlist, it should be there. I think it was about 5 or 6 days ago now, but you should be able to find it there. And I think he did surprisingly well for us. And actually, I didn't have Morbius in my discard deck list, but I would take out Wolverine for Morbius. You're back watching it right now. I'll catch you whenever you get back, Mail. Alexander, I just thought that you were just having positive cubes, and then we became Mr. Neutral. Yeah, so we played out a game against a Mr. Negative deck that went to a turn 7, which is always dangerous. But we did it. We committed to it. You got your Miles deck from 88 to 93 today. During the first day, it was so crazy that the climbing was pretty simple. By your experience, that's huge. Is it the Miles deck that I tried out, or is it a different build? You're still using Khazar Zoo deck since you're still in Pool 1. The Khazar Zoo is still it's solid all the way through Pool 1, and so I wouldn't feel bad about using that one at all. So let's go with the Lockjaw into Wakanda. We can always move our cards into New York on that final turn, unless they change this location. But it gives us some flexibility. you posted your Miles deck in the deck discussion before. I'll check it out after this, Alexander. It's not the same one you have. I'll need to check it out. So let's go with Darcula into the far left. We have our Lockjaw to start rotating cards. We have Morbius that we're going to be able to leave on the board. Ooh, so they use a Warpath. Are they running an ongoing, so a Spectrum / Destroyer deck list? So are they running that hybrid version is kind of what I wonder at this point. And then accidental emo, thank you so much for the follow. I appreciate it. And then Paige Jenner, thank you so much as well. I missed yours just a second ago. So I think we go with and then Eternity, thank you for the follow. So I think we go with Calling Wing into New York, Calling Wing and Morbius. I think we're going to need a pretty decent push here because I think they're going to lock this down with a Professor X this turn. And so that will allow us to rotate some free swarms. We can do a Lady Sif and a Swordmaster. We can try to find an alternate win condition from there. If we can discard enough cards, then maybe we can find the win condition in New York. I didn't mean to snap. And then Maui, thank you so much for the follow. What up? I'm so glad that you're able to jump in and join us. We did not mean to snap. Captain Kirch, thank you so much for the follow. I hope you're having a fantastic day, Captain. And then not TLSG is also in pool 1. Yep, that is my pool 1 exclusive account. That's staying right at the edge of pool 1. And then Darth Tater, thank you so much for the follow as well. So we're gonna have to discard. So we're down in the middle location by a lot. We're down by 8, so we have to discard at least 4 cards. Ooh, no, we have to hold on to our swarm, or at least one of our swarms. That way we always have a discard target to target into. And so this would do 1, 2. With the rotation, we could get maybe 3. We might be able to find the win condition here. Depending on where they end up dropping, I expect a Destroyer. Captain Courage, you see you over here on that Hela. Yeah, the Hela in this is a good kind of plan C. In this one, it's not our primary, but it is it is sometimes the savior that we need. And then Dinger, thank you so much for the follow as well. I'm going to go ahead and lock this in. I think it comes down to what we flip into and where they play their Destroyer. So they push theirs into Shadowland, which is okay. We just need to discard 4 cards here. We just need to discard 4 cards here to find the win condition in New York, or I guess 5? And so the Swarm is going to keep popping in our hand. Hellcow is a great one to be able to start boosting our Morbius. This is going to be the power of Lockjaw. We now have the discard from Lady Sif, who's going to rotate in. We have a good chance of finding the additional trigger, which is there. That is the final one that we needed to find the win condition. And then we have Swarm that will rotate as well. Just to add a little bit of insult to injury, we discard an additional one to find the win condition in the lockdown New York location and in Wakanda. This deck is nuts. The potential that this deck has is crazy. You said you couldn't find the Morbius discard deck. So it doesn't have Morbius in it. It has. Here, I'm gonna grab the link for you guys real fast. I'll throw it in with our Apocalypse. I'll throw the link into the chat. So it doesn't have Morbius. I would take out. Oh my gosh! Sorry guys. YouTube started playing ads. I would take out the Wolverine and I would add in Morbius. And so he should be a decent add in that list. Let's all watch some TLSG on the stream. I appreciate you guys being here. We took the 8 cubes. That brings us back up to a Mr. Positive 8 streamer for right now. And then NVQ, this Lockjaw tech is fun. Yeah, I was very, very hesitant on this list, but it has some insane outs and some insane power push that allow us to steal some of those 4 and 8 cube gains a little bit more consistently. It's been pretty consistent for the most part, but I think it still has the same drawback from a normal discard deck list. You don't have as much potency if you don't draw into your Darcula or your Morbius, but otherwise it has some pretty good potential. And then Blacker and King Albert, thank you both for the follows. It's Star-Lord himself. Get him? Oh, it is Star-Lord. Earlier we played against Doctor Strange, and now Star-Lord. They're making their rounds. So I think we play Morbius into Tinker's Workshop. We leave X-Mansion alone just in case it draws into something that's negative for us. So like an Enchantress that would take out our Morbius or a destroy card. We don't want to accidentally fall into that. I think we're gonna go with a Swordmaster here. We're gonna potentially play Hela on the final turn to regain some of these discard cards, but I don't think we can pass too many times. We want to make sure that we can contain and keep up with that tempo. You actually only needed to cycle one discard card because Darcula was already there for you. That's true, Captain Kirch, because Darcula was going to discard. Whenever he pulled in, he would discard one. That's true, Captain Kirch. And then Soldier from YouTube, I'm probably going to leave soon. That's okay. I am going to upload, if you don't want to watch the videos on demand here, I am uploading the videos or the on-demand videos or the restreams onto a second YouTube channel. And you can find that on my YouTube channel under the channels tab. And then Forrest, TLSG, love your videos, helps a lot. Thank you so much, Forrest Law. I hope you're having a fantastic day and a fantastic week so far. And then Drake, you got your first infinite split, not surprisingly on Odin. Drake, that's huge. I want to say that I remember my first infinite split, but I don't. I think it was on Chavez at the time, because at the time Chavez was really, really strong. So the Ebony Maw over here is kind of, it's really unfortunate because now we can't play any cards over there, and they get an Abomination, which feeds into their Patriot playline. I feel like we need to retreat here. Yeah, we're just gonna go ahead and retreat. We have a really big disadvantage. I wanted to give it a chance to draw into our Darcula, but we're playing with fire. Most likely, it's gonna be an uphill road to even try to find a win condition, and so it's better to just jump out for the one versus risking any more. Soldier, you got bored of Marvel Snap, but you're making it fun again. And they should be releasing some new cards soon. I know that they are still wanting to eventually release one card a week, which is going to be great. I'm excited because I like brewing around the new cards, and I like brewing around the new locations and just trying to find a way to make something new work. And so I'm excited for them to add those in. Hopefully they add that soon so that people don't, like yourself, get bored and then kind of start going to Hearthstone or going back to Legends of Runeterra or wherever else they were kind of drawn in from. Soldier, which is better, Morbius or Darcula? I think they're both good, but I think Darcula is more consistent. He allows some higher high rolls. He allows you to continue discarding on that 6th turn because he's going to pull into that final card that you have. So he gives you a little bit more flexibility to continue discarding on further on in the game. Nightcrawler was your first split, Captain? Mine was either Chavez or Sunspot. Both I ran in an absurd amount. Darth, I was actually able to go from 45 to 63 with a homebrew for Shuri's Lab, but I'm so undecided on what to play now that it's gone. What are you all having success with in pool 2, early pool 3? So early pool 3, I'm not as certain. I want the free rotation with Lockjaw, but I also don't want to pull into something we don't need. I'm actually going to just send it into X-Mansion. So I have a deck list that I'm working on, Darth, that I think should be pretty good. So far, I've tested it for 50 games. It's a pool 2 deck. I've done it for 50 games. I've had an 83% win rate with an average cube gain of 3. I've been tracking each of them because I get excited about those things. But I plan on doing a video on it tomorrow. If you pop into the Discord, I can shoot you over the deck list tonight if you want to try it out. So they storm the far left location, but that's okay. We have our Darcula. We can play our Darcula there. That's kind of our insurance policy. And then we do have the Apocalypse. We have Lady Sif that will be able to make sure we discard our Apocalypse. We can start rotating those cards. And so we're going to go ahead and do the Darcula. And Mail learned a thing or two about discard decks. Welcome back, Mail. I hope that you enjoyed the video. Darth, I'm a numbers guy too. Good stuff. I've always, so they Juggernaut the Darcula out of the flooded lane, so we actually lose that location unless we draw into Hela. Otherwise we lose that one. But yeah, the numbers and just kind of finding ways to, like, finding those patterns and those kind of things that don't necessarily stand out from the numbers, I'm always really excited about. But that's why I'm in data analytics. That's my day job is data analysis. And then King Albert, you said I got Lockjaw today and completed this deck. Was confusing how it works. Thank you for the video. I'm so glad that you pulled Lockjaw and that you were able to make this list work. In my opinion, it is insanely fun. It has a lot of power potential, and it's surprisingly strong. So they do a Spider-Man into Wakanda. Oof. I'm glad we dropped a couple of rotation cards, but that's not great for us. Since we've already lost the flooded location, if we can draw into, or if we flip into Hela, then we might be able to find our win condition. That's not going to be it. So now we're going to draw into our Chavez. We can play both here, but we most likely lose this location unless they just have a really small push. Unfortunately, we didn't rotate into any of the stronger cards or Hela to push power over here. So with that, I think that's just one of those chances that we take. We're going to go ahead and jump out for the -4. Brings us down to 3 cubes gained today so far, but that's okay. We've had a lot of high rolls, a lot of low rolls, but overall we've had a lot of fun. Rock to 2 energy was huge. Yeah. Q snipe the streamer. We need a Q match. We need somebody to just slingshot us into Mr. Negative. So you can hit us with the armors, with the Cosmos, with all of the techs. Blacker, I'm so glad that you jumped in and joined us. I hope you're having a fantastic day so far. Stars and moons. You have the Uwadu, the all-knowing, the Watcher himself, Uwadu. So we have Atherton. Kunlun will give us +2. We don't have anything that we necessarily want to push right now. We don't have anything that benefits from being discarded. And so we do have Darcula that will be able to play on 4. Okay, so we discard our Lady Sif, which is not fantastic. We can go ahead and play our Lockjaw. We can play Darcula on 4, and then we can kind of see what we draw into to find our next kind of play line and what we need to do. So the Blade's decent. The Blade's going to be a cheap discard card that we can rotate pretty easily with our Lockjaw. I'm wondering if we compete for Sokovia or if we throw our Darcula into Atlantis. I think we're going to throw it into Atlantis. I think we're up against a pretty decent power push already in Sokovia, so we might as well get a little bit more upside from it from competing for Atlantis. What does Mr. Neutral and Mr. Positive and Negative? So it's just the cubes gained for the stream so far. So right now, over the course of just about an hour, we've gained 3 cubes. So we're Mr. Positive streamer today. Sometimes whenever we lose cubes from a stream, then we're Mr. Negative streamer for the day. And if we're at 0, then we're Mr. Neutral. And so they have a pretty big power push in Sokovia. So they also have Cloak. I'm wondering if they're going to be running something that utilizes Arrow at some point. Because if so, and we look to rotate this turn, then they can always snipe it and pull it away. I do think we're going to rotate our cards, though. We can potentially pull into a Chavez. That way we can draw back into maybe a Hellcow next turn. And we can start trying to buff up our Apocalypse, because I think we're going to need a good power push here and here. Mail, I really liked movement decks, but this game doesn't want to give me Vulture and Cloak. Hopefully you'll pull them soon. Pool 2 is pretty small, So you'll find that you'll typically get all the way through it within a week or two. And so hopefully you can find them pretty early on. P. Jenner, what are your thoughts on Pool 3 Dino decks? Pulled Quinjet and been loving the plain Dino deck. Dino decks are still incredibly viable. They do have a little bit harder time matching up against certain matchups. certain matchups, but I think for the most part, they're pretty strong all the way throughout. The Cosmo is why they snapped. Unfortunately, we are not going to be able to discard anything. Well, that's never what we want to see. We can gamble. We can rotate our Calling Wing. That's not going to give us much of anything. We would have to... So these two are going to trigger our Morbius twice. And so that's going to push him up by 4. That'll push us to 11. Calling, we're going to be missing out by 3. If they don't play anything else into that lane, we're missing out by 3. And so we have several cards that could meet that requirement. But there's a lot of chance that we don't. I think we lose this one. I think we lose this one every single time. But I want to see it play out. My curiosity has gotten the better of me. So the leader copies their Swordmaster, copies our Calling Wing, which pushes into Kunlun. We get Ella, but that's not going to be quite enough with our discards. We're going to be 1 short, 2 short. We're going to be 2 short, no, 1 short. 1 short in the Kunlun lane. Very, very close, but we weren't quite able to make it happen. We'll go down to Mr. Negative for just a moment. We'll find a big 8-cube game. We'll bounce back. The Cosmo counter to stop us from discarding cards was big. Yeah, so Cosmo is a pretty big thorn for this list. That's one of the only like big counters that we find. Sometimes a Magneto to disposition your Darcula can do it. Sometimes an arrow play to move your cards out of your rotation lane can do it. But for the most part, it's hard to counter this list. It has a lot of high power potential. But Q, you said donate and find out. Oh, donate to find out that last turn. Playing this Mr. Negative deck for the occasion. If I had one built out and I had all the elements built for it, I would. So I almost want to snap back against them. We're gonna snap back against them. They snapped once they dropped Sunspot. So I'm wondering if maybe they have something that they're gonna lock down, like maybe a Professor X that they play at a certain point. Because if they do, then I think we can outpower them with a Morbius and a final turn discard. Male, Multiple Man is your favorite card. Multiple Man had its like 5 minutes of fame with the Shuri's lab location. It became an absolutely massive unit. And so hopefully you got to take advantage of that, at least for a little bit. So let's play Calling Wing. She's not going to discard this turn because of Lemuria. If we don't draw into our Blade or something that competes with this 2-cost, lowest cost card slot, then we'll play Darcula next turn. If not, then we'll do something. We'll use whatever 2-cost card we draw into. And then Alexander, got to go have a great weekend. I hope you have a great weekend as well. I appreciate you jumping in and joining us for a while. So let's play our Darcula into Atlantis, and then we're gonna put Darcula into the far right. This lane we'll kind of use as a chance if we do draw into our Lockjaw. That'll be our rotation lane. And so they storm the Tinker's Workshop location, which does make sense. They did snap whenever they had their Sunspot because he can absorb power, he can grow over time. So it's not a bad call. but with Morbius, it can get pretty big pretty quickly, and we do draw into our Apocalypse, which is an even bigger upside. So we have Darcula. I think we do Hell Cow to discard a couple of cards, and then we do one Swarm. If we keep our Hela, then we can resummon. If we end up discarding our Lady Sif or anything else, we can resummon that with Hela. Otherwise, I think we just lean into the Lemuria location. But I do think we keep one Swarm for ourselves. We know that we're going to draw into Chavez next turn. And so we're either going to drop our Hela, Apocalypse. Actually, let's throw everything into the flooded location. I think that's going to be the biggest thing that we need to win. Then Dry. I've been watching some old Mr. Negative videos from TLSG, and it was insane. This card was 4 power. Yeah. So how old are we talking? Some of the old videos are kind of tough. They're kind of tough to see and kind of tough to watch in some situations. So let's do the Lady Sif. Soldier from YouTube, got to go now. Wish I could stay longer, but I'm going somewhere for a birthday surprise. It's not much of a surprise if you know that it's coming, right, Soldier? But again, happy birthday. I'm glad you were able to jump in and join us for a little while. I hope you have a great rest of your birthday. So even if they skip this turn, if they skip this turn, they only win one location. So did they skip last turn? If they skipped last turn, then I anticipate an Infinite coming down, and then we win the flooded lane. We win probably this lane as well with the Lady Sif plus the absorb of hopefully Apocalypse. And that's if they play here, but that's gonna be a risky one. So let's go ahead and lock this in. I don't think there's too much use in dwelling on it. We're gonna see what they end up discarding. We discard our Apocalypse. Oh, okay. That's fine. We still win Lemuria with just the Calling Wing, and then we win Atlantis with the discard from Darcula. Then One Dead Pixel and Bakugo, thank you both for the follows. So we, just like that, we come back to a Mr. Positive streamer on a weird one. I don't think I would have stayed with the Magneto final turn play. I think it was just a little bit too, I don't know, a little bit too risky. And then Rhett, does your deck have Lockjaw or Calling Wing replacements? Instead of one, you could throw in another discard card, so like Moon Knight. But it starts losing some of its consistency. So Lockjaw is one of the ways to make the deck list more consistent. So if we don't draw into the cards that we need, we can throw them back into the deck with Lockjaw. So I think you can try it with just maybe a Wong and another discard card, but I think it loses a little bit of potency. So I would say try it out, see how it goes, and then maybe it doesn't go too incredibly well, and you kind of revert back, and then hopefully by that point you'll have pulled some of those replacement cards. So let's go with a Morbius into Monster Island. We don't know what this location is going to be, so I don't want to throw it there. And then Hala, we're not going to throw it there because we don't want the chance of it getting destroyed. And then One Dead Pixel. I'm glad you were able to jump in and join us. I hope your day and week has gone well so far. Then Captain Pixie, when do you think devs are going to announce the pool 4 and 5? I think so. So they use the term soon a lot. A lot of what they say and do, it's under the like the umbrella of like real soon, and so we don't ever really know exactly what that means. But I think it was earlier this week, I think like 3 days ago now, Ben either tweeted or responded to a question that said there was going to be information on either collector's tokens or the pools coming soon. And so hopefully that holds true. Hopefully it's right around the corner. I would like them to be out, honestly, now. What I'm hoping for is once they release the collector's tokens, they give us a surge of new cards, because that's where I find a lot of fun in the game is pulling a mystery card and then just building a deck around it, seeing if I can find something that is good, meta breaking, or just holds its own. And so hopefully they're able to, hopefully they add those in soon, because they said once collector's tokens are in, they're going to start doing their weekly release of cards. So that's going to be one card every single week, which is going to keep things kind of moving along, feeling a little bit more fresh. Also, it's Mile? Oh, I'm sorry. I've been mispronouncing it this entire time. So Mile. And so Captain, hopefully next week sometime we hear a little bit more about pool 4 or pool 5. So we could do a double discard. I think we just go with this though, in the reverse order. We do Calling Wing first so that she discards our swarm, and then we will pull. Then Blade has a chance to discard the swarm further. Since this is going to lock down, I don't think we're going to be able to win the storm location, but we are going to push a couple of cards there. Our win conditions are going to be the far left and the far right, and so we'll see how it goes. The Gamora is huge. We're definitely not going to be able to overcome the Gamora. Does Hela summon a discarded Apocalypse? Caesar, so it doesn't, but it does resummon a discarded Swarm. And so it discards and then everyone, thank you so much for the follows. CPA Gamer, Caesar, Nova, and Brian B. Thank you so much for the follows. I appreciate the support. So she resummons your swarms that have been discarded or your discard cards. So I'm wondering have we discarded any discard cards this game? I actually don't know. So to get 3 of these, we had to discard it 2 times. We only have 2 discards on the board, so no, we have not. So Hela would only re-summon swarms. So we need some discard cards so that we can buff up our Morbius, so that we can buff up our Apocalypse, or at least lower the odds of what it's going to pull into. So I like the Lockjaw rotation in the far right. We're gonna cycle 2 of our swarms. We're gonna play 1 swarm just naturally into the far left lane, and hopefully we're able to find enough of win condition. I think if I was them, I would push my power into Monster Metropolis this turn, but we'll see. We'll see what they play. If we cycle into and discard enough cards, maybe our Morbius can hold his own, but we'll see. And so they do a Giganto, which is a massive card. We need something big. We need a a Hell Cow would discard 2 more cards for us. Darcula is going to discard 1 card of its own. Hell Cow, ask and we shall receive. So Hell Cow does discard 2 of our cards for us. That buffs up our Morbius. Swarm comes in, and then Darcula actually pushes our Monster Island lane up over that threshold to find us the win condition over the Giganto. Over the Giganto play on that final turn. Absolutely massive swing. And so that's how this deck list can pull 4 and 8 cube matches just out of seemingly nowhere. We needed every bit of the Hell Cow and the Swordmaster. We got incredibly lucky on this turn. So let's go ahead and take that win. We will be fortunate that we had that win. We'll jump over into the next one. Dante, yeah, some of these combos and in-game plays that this deck can enable are absolutely nuts. And just watching them play out is insane. Ultimate, you said okay, that's sad. What's sad, Ultimate? Oh, did I missed your original. Can Miles Morales or Black Panther be from mystery cards? Gotcha. Yeah, so in Miles is going to be a little bit under around a month, and then Black Panther is still close to 2 months away. Yeah, and so it's that way you can either buy the premium pass, or you still have access to it, so it's still okay for free to play players. It's just you have to wait a little bit. But even if you don't like the card that's in the pass, if you're ever looking at spending money in the game for any reason, the premium pass is the best value that you can buy. Outside of the welcome bundle, the season pass is going to be the best bang for your buck. And that if you want to be a free-to-play player, that's absolutely fine. And you can get a lot of cards pretty quickly. But if for some reason you were like, hey, I have $10, I've been playing a lot, I want to spend it, the premium pass is going to get you gold, credits, and then some cards and variants as well. And so I'm definitely a fan of the model that they have going on. Let's go ahead and throw our Lockjaw into Xandar. It does look like they're running a Patriot deck list. Yep, there comes the Patriot. So we can outpower a non-high roll Patriot deck list. Where it becomes an issue is if they high roll it. So if they do a Patriot, they have an Onslaught and a Mystique. I don't think we can overcome that much power. Otherwise, we can find our win condition quite often. Let's go ahead and cycle our Calling Wing and our Blade. That's going to discard several of these cards. We have 2 good targets for our discards. And so Calling Wing is going to guarantee into our Swarm. And then Blade will potentially hit one of those 4 cards. So I'm okay with running that. And then Nova, thank you for all the content you have put out. I have learned a lot from your videos on YouTube. You have a great way of explaining and teaching. Thank you so much, Nova. I'm so glad that you found the channel and that you're enjoying the content and that it's been helpful. That as a content creator, that's really all that I could ask for, and so that's huge. Thank you so much for being here. And then Jake, you said, I love discard but haven't played it since it was nerfed in the beta. Yeah, thank you for this amazing deck. I finally have success with discard again. Yeah, I know. When I found this list, I was really excited because I like you. I liked discard during the beta, but outside of that, it just didn't have it. It wasn't consistent. It wasn't a good. It just wasn't good. It didn't feel good to play. And so now with this, I feel like it's definitely found its potency again. So we're definitely able to play it to its strengths now. So I think we just play our Darcula. I don't think we play Swarm. And if we play Swarm, I think we play all 3. That way on the final turn, if we rotate into Chavez, then we can draw into like a Hell Cow or something similar. And that whatever we rotate into doesn't have a chance of discarding our Swarm and making it even bigger. Let's go ahead and do that, just in case there's a wave or just anything kind of crazy here. Daya, good to see you back on Twitch TV. I'm so glad that you were able to jump back in and join us again. I'm so glad you were able to find us. And then Andre, Nate, Bot, thank you all for the follows as well. Jake, it sounded so crazy, but after trying it, it won a few. Yeah, yep, I was the exact same way. I saw the deck and I thought there is no way that this works. And to my surprise, it did. And I was very happily surprised. So we did rotate into our Chavez, and so we did pull our Hell Cow. So I think what we do, they do have a pretty good push here. But I think we do our Hell Cow. We cycle that back in. We could potentially pull Calling Wing. We could potentially pull Blade. Or the last card that we have is... No, not Lady Sif. I'm not sure what... Oh, the last card we have is Swarm. So we could potentially get the downside of flipping into Swarm. But I think we're going to do the Hell Cow. That will discard both of these. That's going to tell our Apocalypse to discard, or make sure that our Apocalypse discards into the Darcula lane. Morbius is going to get a decent buff. They could potentially do an Onslaught here. And so if they do an Onslaught, that's going to be 7, 8, 9, 10 extra power here. So that puts them at 18 here, so we have to discard just a couple of cards. We'll have this lane still locked down. We would just need to win one of the other 2. And then Barbara Stinson, hi, greetings from Singapore, all the way from Singapore.
Welcome. It took you long enough.
And then Jake, thank you so much for the Prime sub. I appreciate it. The support is absolutely massive. The Ultron is a good finisher, but I think we have more power than what they push, right? It's going to be close. With the Khazar, it's going to be really close. But Barbara, all the way from Singapore, I appreciate the support. I appreciate you being here. And our Apocalypse gets large enough to outpower the Ultron finisher that had the Patriot buff, that had the Blue Marvel buff, that had the Khazar buff. We were able to outpower it by 10 in the New York location. Absolutely insane power potentials. Let's go ahead and we'll bump up our cubes to 13. We'll jump over into the next one. You said, oh yeah, one more question. At which collection level does pool 3 start? So 474. 474 is where is the tail, I believe it's the tail end of pool 3. After that, the next card you pull is going to be, or it's the tail end of pool 2. After that, you're going to start pulling into pool 3. Nova, yeah, this deck has some really cool potential plays. And it has a lot of consistency because there's so many routes to be able to find that like last turn big play that it's really fun to play. And then only one. Hi, how are you? I'm good. I hope that you're having a great day so far. I'm glad that you jumped in and joined us. And then you said then Mr. Then hi from Tunisia. All the way from Tunisia. I love seeing just the range of impact that our channel has. So something as simple as a card game, it kind of connects all of these different people and all of these different just diverse backgrounds that it's so interesting for me to see. And I love hearing and seeing just where everybody's from. And then Jake, you said been watching since like 100 subs on YouTube. Glad you can finally support you and try to pay back all the entertainment and knowledge you've shared about this wonderful game. Jake, that is huge. Because back when we had 100 subs, if I remember right, the volume was really, really quiet. I think I talked pretty soft. And so I think we've come a long ways. But I'm so glad that you stuck it out. That you've been enjoying the videos and the content all the way since then. The support is absolutely massive. Just being a viewer is enough. But if you have the Prime sub laying around, I absolutely appreciate those as well. But just being a viewer and continuing to watch the content and enjoy the content is enough for me as a creator. I'm very happy with that. So we use Calling Wing that's going to discard our Swarm. We're going to need a big power play into the Nexus. So we probably need to draw into both our Darcula and our Apocalypse, which doesn't look like it's gonna happen. We would need a really big push over here to find our win condition. So we could do Lockjaw and then start rotating. That's kind of risky because then if we do directly draw into it, then we're stuck rotating the cards. So I think we're gonna do a Swordmaster here. Just to start pushing some power, we need to hold our own here. So we're going to do a Swordmaster, and then we'll see what we pull into next turn. We do need Nick Fury TLSG again, though. It does need to come back. I looked at a couple of the old videos, and I think it was one just before the eye patch, where it like started getting swollen. And I was like, oh man, I know what's coming. I know the monumental transformation that's about to occur, and something that's gonna stick for like the rest of our channel history. So I'm gonna Lockjaw rotate here.
Hey,
and then Dimjin, thank you so much for the follow and the Prime sub. The support is absolutely massive, absolutely huge. I appreciate it, Dim. So we're gonna rotate one Swarm here. And then another random guy. I appreciate the follow. So we're going to rotate one random swarm. Hopefully we pull into Chavez so that we can pull into our Apocalypse or into our Darcula so we can draw into him. That's unfortunate. That's not what we wanted to see. Well, okay, so they ran a destruction deck. They used Wave. They're going to have a Death come down here. They're going to have maybe a Death and an Arrow to pull our cards out of the Nexus. This is going to be a hard retreat. We're gonna take the 2-cube loss and just we're gonna take the loss and just move on. And then Jake, my Halloween costume every year is wearing my brother's State Farm shirt with khakis. Jake, that is so funny. Do people get it, or do sometimes people think that you just didn't dress up? Because I could see if it's just, I guess it is the State Farm. Do you wear like a name tag to make sure everyone knows that you're Jake? Either way, I find it incredibly funny. And then Dim, you said I watched all your YouTube videos and they helped me understand and climb. Just being thankful. Dim, I appreciate it. I appreciate the support. It's absolutely massive. And then Jake, you said the transformation has been insane, but you've always stayed the same, which I appreciate. Yeah, I think even like the presentation or the approach may get refined, but like the I guess the positivity, the kind of I guess overall vibe has stayed pretty consistent. And then OCV and Nico, thank you both for the follows. I appreciate it. I hope you guys are having a fantastic day, and I'm glad that you guys are here. And then Lemons, thank you so much as well for the follow. He said, I remember the time I saw a TLSG video and immediately went to the channel and watched the other 5 or 10, so he had posted and binged them all that night. Jake, that's huge. That is huge. So like early on when we were still like experimenting with like different cards and things like that, that's amazing, Jake. You are a true TLSG fan. Oh, if it's a party that not many people know you, then you wear the name tag? Yeah, that would make sense. So let's go with our... Both of these are kind of bad. They have the upside of having Angela in Death's Domain, so they can get that one pretty large. But let's go with... and then Bruce Banner Jr., thank you so much for the follow as well. Let's go with Lady Sif to discard our Apocalypse. And then we'll see what we draw into next. Into next turn. Another random guy. Hella is so curvy. And just as I was reading that, we draw into our Hella. So we will inspect the card for you. And then Celery Paints. Have a blessed stream, guy. Or have a blessed stream, dude. Thank you so much, Celery. So we need to make sure that we don't lose this lane. So I think we throw... I'm torn. Because we want to keep our Darcula. But we also don't want to lose our resources in Hala. We're gonna gamble it. If one of these hits Swarm, that increases our chance that we don't draw into, or that we don't discard our Darcula. Okay, so Swarm is the first one. So now we have 3 good targets for Blade, and then the 1 bad target of Darcula, and then it hits Swarm as well. And so we get the upside there. Very, very fortunate. Very, very fortunate that we discarded those. We were able to take out the resources they had here, which again is massive. Let's go with Darcula. We're gonna be able to do a Hell Cow and then our Swarms, because all that we've discarded at this point are the Swarms. We don't have any great targets for Hella to resummon, but we can flood the board with our Swarms and a Hell Cow to give our Darcula a better absorbing target. Hella can push power to Death's Domain. Ooh, that's true. Not anymore. Captain, Hella could have pushed power into Death's Domain, but they locked it down with Professor X, and so I'm glad that came down this turn instead of if they had initiative going to that final turn. So maybe they're running a Destroyer here, so we need to get over 16 power wherever we go, and so I think this does it though, right? Let's do the Hell Cow over here just for a little bit of extra push. And then we're gonna go 3, 6, 9, and then at the least we'll absorb into the lowest low roll. If Hell Cow does not discard our Hella, the lowest low roll from Darcula could be the 6 power Hella. I think we have a decent shot. I would snap, but I think they would retreat at this point, so we're just gonna lean in. Pray, do it for content. We are gonna do it for content. We're not gonna back out. I almost want to snap into it though, just to give it that little bit of extra oomph to push it on its way. I'm not sure if they will retreat or not though, is my only hesitation. We'll see. If only they will stay. Ryda and Bot. Do it! Snap! Okay, so I don't think they're retreating. Let's go ahead and end this turn. Okay. Never mind. We'll take the 1 cube. We'll take the 1 cube and go. I thought they were going to stick around, but they probably did the math and realized that it wasn't too advantageous of a position for them. And so from there, they did decide to jump out. Oh, right. And so we're going up against them again. Let's see if we can get a back-to-back. We do have a couple of cards that are going to be good for us. Ghost Freak, thank you so much for the follow. We do have a couple of cards that are going to be good for decks that run Professor X. And so both Darcula and our Morbius can absorb power over time, which is going to be really good for us. And so let's go with Calling Wing here. That is going to discard our Swarm. We have our Darcula, which is one of the 2 triggers. Hellcow is amazing. If you think Hellcow is amazing now, Celery Paints. I don't know if you were around for the beta. Hellcow at 6 power used to be Captain Kirch. It used to be a 2-cost card. So with Sarah, it was a 1-cost 6 power card that you could throw onto the board, which was insane. It was the I don't know how that ever like passed. It was like a double blade essentially. It was so good. It was broken at that point. You could use it in a Sarah and a Sarah with Hella build, and so then even on the last turn, you always know you have at least 2 discards. It was crazy. It was fun, but it was really crazy to see. Let's play Lady Sif over into the sewer system. We have Apocalypse that will get discarded. We have the Swarms. Scorpion, unfortunately, is really bad against making our Swarms less impactful. Oh, you unlocked it the day after it was nerfed, Captain? Oh, that is tough. That's a tough one. Ooh, so they pull a Black Cat. We pull a Magneto from expansion, which is big. And now we have our Morbius. So I think we throw our Morbius here. If they were gonna, well, maybe we do that next turn. Yeah. Let's go ahead and throw our Darcula into Tinkerer's Workshop. If they were gonna lock down or try to lock down a lane with a Professor X, I think it's gonna be X-Mansion. And so we can throw next turn, we can throw our Morbius and our Swarms over there. We have Darcula as a way to absorb extra power here. And so I think we should be able to find a win condition. No, I thought it would be easier coming from Hearthstone, but this game is very different. Hearthstone is tempo driven, where Snap seems to be more strategic. There are some decks that are definitely tempo. And so one of the decks that one of the high-end players use, I think they call it Barrow. It operates on the fact that if you have tempo into that last turn, you can control how many cards the opponent can drop, and then you can use Arrow to pull their cards away. So there are a couple of different builds, but I think you're right. There's a lot of strategy in kind of reading what the opponent is doing and trying to outplay or counterplay it. So, let's kind of hedge our bets here, because they have Daredevil. We know that they run a Professor X. They could run a Gamora as well, but I think we spread our power a little bit. We're going to have a pretty decent power push here, or a potential power push to absorb some extra power. Another one here, and then Swordmaster here. So if they just do a Professor X, they won't be able to win the sewer system. You missed the old Collector the most. The old Collector was broken too. There's been a few cards here and there that were just absolutely insane. So the Jubilee pulling... so Celery, can a Jubilee pull a card from your hand or just the deck? So it's just your deck. So there was the Devil Dino that used to be 3 cost, which you could use Moon Girl and drop 2 Devil Dinos on the final turn. It was nasty. You could, yeah, 2 dinos on 6 was the dumbest thing that was ever allowed. You are not wrong, Captain. That was by far the most broken thing I could ever imagine. So they used Arrow to pull and consolidate our cards over here. What are they running for that final turn, though? Because this is a kind of disruptive deck, so I would assume maybe a Magneto? So I think we play our Hellcow into the X-Mansion. We kind of buffer it with a few Swarm cards. That will discard both of these. Our Darcula will pull into our Apocalypse, which will be 8 power bigger than it is now, so it's going to be 19 power push here. And our Morbius will continue to get bigger. I'm not sure what their final turn play is, but the only thing I can imagine is maybe a Magneto. But with us filling up most of our lanes, there's not a lot of potential for them to pull and drag cards around. The Enchantress is an interesting one. It does make sure that we lose the sewer system, but we're going to be able to win Tinker's Workshop and the X-Mansion. So we'll take it. We will take those. We will take those wins where we can. The Enchantress seems like... I think I would have backed out, because it seems like a low-tempo play for that final turn. Although double Nova and Carnage on turn 6 was pretty stupid too. Yeah, it was. Yeah, you could throw just any low-cost cards on the board, and then doing a double Nova Carnage could find you that win condition. It was there were a few things that were just really questionable. And then Kraven used to be the most unusable card I could ever imagine, and they've done him justice. He's pretty good now. There's been a lot of things. I feel like they've really listened to player feedback for the most part and corrected those really bad things. There's some that have been missed. So Magic was another one that it took them a while, but they eventually found and made a change, because that one was pretty absurd for quite a few patches. Celery, I'm constructing a Pool 2 Jubilee deck. Thank you for the answers. Yeah, no worries. So I put up an Odin on reveal deck. It used Jubilee. It doesn't focus around it, so it doesn't use it. Jubilee in that deck is more of a backup condition for mine. Some people use it where they just build a lot of high power minions so that you can pull into it. And if so, that's a perfectly fine way to build it as well. So we have our Lockjaw, but it did get hit with Iceman, so it's 4 power, so it's 4 cost. I think we pass here. I don't think we risk discarding any of our good resources. And then they storm the X-Mansion lane. We have Hela that could resummon some of our cards and push power over there. Then we're gonna switch hands on turn 6. That's tough because we don't have any way to compete with their power. I don't think a Swordmaster and a Blade will do it. We're gonna give it a shot though. Yeah, the Mindscape though it's a tough one. We're not gonna be able to Hela resummon. We're not gonna be able to do a lot of our power plays, and the more cards we discard, the stronger we make their Apocalypse that we give them. I don't know. So we do find at least a win condition for now in the flooded lane. So with the Swordmaster and Blade, and somehow they both find their way to discarding Apocalypse. When we don't necessarily want them to, they found a way to do it. And so Mindscape is going to be a really tough one here. We can't play Lockjaw over there. They're not going to be able to play our Apocalypse over there, and they won't have any cards discarded for Hela. So I think we play our Calling Wing, and then do we play our Rock and let it discard our Lockjaw so they don't have very much to play with? And then yeah, Nakia had a pretty wild ride too, and so did Okoye, going from whatever it started at to a 1-cost card, back to a 2-cost card, back to having the buff nerfed. It had a pretty wild swing too. Nakia was really, really strong for quite a while. So I think we're going to go with this. I don't know that this gives us a great win condition, but we are going to only give them resources that can be played into the Mindscape lane, which might be able to help us find a win condition. And so the Black Panther's big there. Unless they top deck into... So we're not going to win Mindscape. So we're just going to play the White Tiger and hope that they don't draw into top deck into a Doctor Doom. Let's play the White Tiger. I think we have a pretty good win condition. We know that we only gave them resources that can be played in this far right lane. They're going to have to rely on whatever they top decked to find their win condition. And I think we're okay risking additional cube. Yeah, they didn't draw it. They didn't have a way to swing one of those other lanes. And so we were able to pull through. I think they probably should have dropped White Tiger versus dropping Black Panther before we switched cards or switched hands. Maybe they overlooked the Mindscape location. And so let's go ahead and jump into a few more. I appreciate everybody that's jumped in and joined us today. I know that most of the time we are on YouTube. We're testing out the waters here on Twitch. And so for everybody that has followed us over, or anybody that's new to the channel or new to my content, I appreciate you guys being here. And then Bejesus, thank you so much for following us on Twitch. Strong Guy was pretty dumb at 2 cost as well. I don't know how that ever flew. And then Tantar, thank you so much for the follow as well. I appreciate it. I'm glad to have you here. I hope that your week, I hope that both of your weeks have went well so far. So Iceman hits our Lockjaw again. We're going against late again, and their Iceman hit the exact same target as last time. So we have Morbius. I don't know that we necessarily drop it into the cloning vats though. I think we use Morbius just onto the board, and then we will play from there. We may start doing our Swordmaster into that location. We have Hela. I think because we're going to be able to clone these cards, we're going to just start pushing our Swordmaster continually into the cloning vats. If it hits Swarm, that's great. If not, then I think it's okay. We have a lot of cards that are... and poor Iceman gets hit again. Or poor Lockjaw gets hit again by their follow-up Iceman. And then Celery, have you noticed an impact on the video algorithm since you stream here? So it allows the videos to do well initially. I think there's a couple of things going on. So I think overall the views for, I think we're starting to see a few less views overall. But I do think that streaming over here allows those videos to run, and it doesn't start pushing the live stream instead. But I think that's only valuable on days that we are releasing more than one video. So I released one just a couple hours before going live, and so I think there has been some upside, but I don't know enough or well enough to know if it's something that we stick with. And so let's play another Swordmaster over into the cloning vats. It's still something that we're taking a look at. And then Captain Kirch, I think maybe Blue Marvel is the most improved. Him being a 5 instead of 6 is kind of a big deal. It is. It allows a lot more flexibility with things like Mystique, with just all kinds of combos. So I think he is very much improved. They revived Kraven from the grave though. I think there were a couple others that got pretty substantial buffs, but Blue Marvel was one that has had the biggest impact, I think. So they have Thor. They're going to be able to play another Thor as well. So I think we probably lose this one. Let's do our Swordmaster. It might hit our Swarm eventually. We're going to do Swordmaster one more time. It hits a rock. We're going to continue to buff up our Morbius. They do a second Thor, which is really, really scary, because now if they draw into Mjolnir, that's an extra 12 power into the cloning vats, and then they can throw down one more Thor as well. So odds are that they draw into Thor by this point, I imagine. I think we retreat. I don't think we're going to have a win condition. Actually, it's only for one additional cube. We'll go ahead and send it. We're going to send a Swordmaster into the far left, Lady Sif into mid. We'll take the little chips here and there. Them giving Red Skull more power made him a lot more playable than he used to. Yeah, and they did the same thing with Destroyer. So Destroyer used to be, what was it, 15? So I think the extra power actually, I think it helped put him over the edge in a card that was worth building around. I'm going to give it a second so we don't match against late again. And then we're going to go ahead and jump into just a couple more. We will have to wind down here in just a few minutes to jump back over into work mode. But I appreciate everybody that's been here and has enjoyed the stream so far. If you're not a follower, make sure that you follow the channel so that you know whenever I go live again. And then if this is the first time you're seeing my content, most of my stuff is over on YouTube. And so if you follow the YouTube channel dawn below the stream, you will find a plethora of videos. I do daily, sometimes multi-daily YouTube videos on the YouTube account, and I've been doing that for probably 5 months now. So there's a lot of content to view. So let's drop our Lockjaw into the sewer system. Whenever Bucky Barnes gets destroyed, he's going to be a 9-power card in Washington, D.C., so that's going to be a pretty uphill battle right off the bat of trying to win this location. So I think we just maybe push for Shuri's Lab and the sewer system instead. Do we want to rotate some of our cards? We can rotate Lady Sif and Blade. We have both of our discard targets. So the thing that I hold off on from doing a Lockjaw rotation is we don't want to flip into Apocalypse because we want him to be able to grow. We also don't really want to flip into our Swarm. But since we have both in hand, I think we're okay or in the clear to start rotating now. And so Lady Sif will get the guaranteed discard of Apocalypse. So they have Sabretooth, so I think they are probably running a Venom. And so if they're running a Venom, they probably have a Taskmaster or an Arnim Zola, which can give us, which can be a little bit hard to compete with this list. We do get a couple of really good triggers of our Apocalypse and then of the Swarms, and then we draw back to our Lady Sif, which is beautiful. Do we go ahead and rotate one more time here? We can play our Lady Sif into Shuri's Lab. That will double its power, and then. Hematite, thank you so much for the follow. I appreciate it. I appreciate you having you here, and we're glad to have you. I think you lose if you rotate into Darcula. Oh, that's... Well, if we rotate into Darcula, we can play Apocalypse outright, but I think you're right. Well, we can't draw into Apocalypse, or we can't...
Hey, welcome. It took you long enough.
And then Urko, thank you so much for subscribing as a tier 1 sub. I appreciate the support. The support is absolutely massive. So Captain Kirch, we have Chavez in the list. So if we don't rotate, we're going to draw into Chavez, and so then we would just end up rotating next turn. And so I think we played this how it is. I don't think we have a great shot of winning this one. Maybe we rotate into Chavez and we can play Darcula onto the board. We'll see. We'll see how it plays out. And then the Kier, thank you so much for the Prime sub. Absolutely massive support. I appreciate it, and I appreciate you supporting the channel. So we do finally discard our Hela. Urko, love the streams and the decks. Thank you so much, Urko. So I feel like we probably need to play Apocalypse into Shuri's Lab. They could do a Venom here, right? And that would consolidate this power. That would end up being a... So right now it would be 21, and then it would double to 42. So actually even a Venom here is okay. They could use a... I'm not seeing a win condition for them. Unless they have Death that they're able to play. But I think we're okay. Let's do both Apocalypse and Swarm over here. And then we're going to have to let it play out, because yeah, Captain Kirch, I think you're right. Because I can't see the win condition. I can't think of anything that they can play. Enchantress here, I don't think does it for them. Snap. Right, a mark. You got to snap back. Okay, let's go ahead and lock this one in. All of the potential play lines that I'm thinking, like the Venom, is not going to be able to do it in Shuri's Lab. Okay. Yeah, so the snap back, they ended up rethinking, and they did end up retreating out, unfortunately. We are positive 20 cubes, though, so we've been climbing pretty well with this. We had a really big start. We had an ego loss early on, which we double snapped on ego. Played it out to the end. We lost 8 cubes there, but otherwise it's been doing pretty well. We haven't gotten an incredibly high roll for a couple games though, so maybe we can hit that here as a satisfying way to end the stream. Then Captain, you like Chavez in this for real? I do. I do like Chavez in this as a way to more consistently draw into our Swarm and our Apocalypse and our Darcula. Those are our primary win conditions. If we draw into our Apocalypse on the final turn, it's going to be a dead draw. And so I think if we're drawing into those resources on that last turn, we rarely find our win condition. And so Chavez in this one, we very rarely play her, but I think she does help the consistency a little bit. Yeah, very rarely do we ever actually play her though. Actually, I don't think ever. Maybe very, very rarely, when all we have is Apocalypse and Chavez on the final turn, we just play Chavez. Some guy on the Discord swapped Chavez for Thor. Yeah, as another play line. And with the Lockjaw, that's okay. And I tried Thor on my free-to-play account, and it did okay. But I like Chavez just because our biggest condition is going to be our Apocalypse and those cards. So we have Limbo. We're going to have the extra turn. We have Mojo World. We have no problems capping that one out typically. We have our Lockjaw, our Darcula. We have Swarm in hand, so we're going to be able to start discarding that. We have our Apocalypse. The only big resource that we don't have right now is our Morbius, but we have it now. So let's play Morbius over into Limbo. We can drop our Calling Wing. Actually, I think no, we're not going to rotate. We're not going to rotate the Calling Wing because we don't want to accidentally discard our Darcula. But we can drop Calling Wing. That'll give us 2 free Swarms. We can play Darcula naturally onto the board next turn. And then we're pretty free to start rotating all of our cards for those discard triggers as we need to. So they do get the... So if they are running a Venom list, Nidavellir is huge for making Venoms absurdly large, because Venom will retain that +5 power bonus from all the cards that he ate or destroyed, and so it becomes kind of difficult to win that lane. But I do think this one is going to be a pretty big game for us. We have 2 free rotations, but I don't think we do them now. I think we hold them. We can always do Lady Sif and Hellcow on the final turn, and we can rotate those in. So I'm wondering if maybe we just play Chavez onto the board next turn, since we have a turn 7. I'm wondering if we just play her onto the board. On the final turn, we plan to do Lady Sif and Hellcow as a rotation. That way we can either rotate back into those cards again. We can potentially rotate into some of our other discard cards and discard units. And then Morbius is going to get pretty large pretty quickly. I think we go with Chavez here. I kind of like that play line. And then we have the rotation, so our Darcula is going to be able to pull into a massive Apocalypse. Morbius is going to get absurdly large. And if we can find this one as a satisfying win, then we'll go ahead and end after this one. If not, we'll play a couple more until we find that good end game. Yeah, so this game, this game is... Ooh, so they snap back, right? Okay, Dad, have a good one. I hope your workday goes quickly and that you're able to, lock in and enjoy the rest of your weekend. So let's do the help. What do we have left? Well, we only have 1 card in our deck. What is our 1 card? We drew into Blade. It's Swordmaster, right? So that means all of these... Oh, is it Hela? I think Yondu destroyed our Hela earlier on. So it should be Swordmaster. So if it's Swordmaster, Hellcow is going to discard 2 cards. And then it's going to rotate in. It's going to pull out Swordmaster. Lady Sif will then discard 1 card, being the Apocalypse, rotate out back into the Hellcow to discard another 2. This Darcula is going to be massive. And then we're going to trigger 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 discards here, so an extra 14 power in the Limbo lane. So I think we push for these 2 locations. Do we need to throw a card into this lane though? Do we think they're going to flood the board? No, we'll go with this. Swarm Riot may have been the play so we had a full mojo. But if they don't compete for these 2 lanes, then we win. I really didn't think they were going to flood all 3 cards into Mojo World though. But we'll take the loss in Mojo World. We're going to have a massive win over them in Limbo and Nidavellir. I'm not sure why they snapped back. They're about to get blown away. So Apocalypse is going to keep discarding. We have the Swarms come down. We probably should have rotated 1 more. And then Wonji, thank you so much for the follow. We probably should have rotated 1 more Swarm, you're right, so that we could have pulled back into Lady Sif. We have a 14 power Morbius, a 33 power Darcula. This deck list is absolutely insane. It has some really high rolls, some decent consistency too. I'm overjoyed that discard is back in a place where it feels good. It's been in a tough spot since they realigned and nerfed some of the stuff. The deck doesn't deserve to be this good, you're right. But with that massive 8 cubes, I went a little bit over on my lunchtime, so I'm gonna have to work a little bit later today. But I hope that you guys enjoyed the stream. If you did, make sure that you are followed, make sure that you check out the YouTube videos. Let's hit you guys up with a raid on the way out. Let's look for somebody that I can send you guys into. If you don't want to be involved in the raid, we're gonna go ahead and end the stream. You guys can go ahead and jump on out. We'll find somebody that's relatively small. Last time we sent you guys to Valentine. I'm not recognizing any of these other names besides the big streamers. We'll send you back to Valentine again. So go Valentine? Yeah, we'll send you guys back over to Valentine. He's very consistent. He's been streaming this since beta, so I think he deserves the at least you guys checking him out. And so let's go ahead and send you guys over there. We're going to start the raid up. I hope that you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. I hope you have a great weekend, and we will see you guys either in the next video or the next live stream. I appreciate you guys as always for being here and just being as consistent and just enjoying the content. I'll see you guys later.